Hi, my name is Vadim Maltsev, and this is my tutorial on how to take live action footage and put it into a 3D computer generated background. So an example of what I'm talking about would be in this video file that I have already prepared. So as you can see, I'm moving along. And I am put into this CG sequence. So, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to want to open up some sort of program like After Effects or Adobe Premiere. For this tutorial, I will be using Adobe After Effects. And the software that we will be using to complete this project will be Adobe After Effects, Autodesk Match Mover, and Autodesk Maya. Then we bring it back into After Effects and put everything all together. Then import it into Premiere so that we have a good resolution quality, but not the gigantic amount of space that After Effects AVI lossless exports take up. So, After Effects is pretty much all loaded up. Alright, so we're going to do a new composition. Name it as, I don't know, composition. Let's be very original. The width is going to be 1920 by 1080 square pixel aspect ratio at a frame rate of 29.97 frames per second. During our little thing, we'll go at half resolution, and for a duration of 21 seconds. So hit OK. Alright, now we're going to bring up import. Here we have our footage. So let's begin by going to Effect, Key Light. Screen color is going to be a nice green, but that's not really the effect we're looking for. So if we hit Alt and click, Control click, no, Alt click, Shift click. It's one of those. Whatever. Anyways, there's that. It's taking out the background, but we can take this further by going into the screen mat. As you can see, I'm fuzzy in this thing, and we don't really have a lot of blacks going on. So, in the screen mat area, we can clip the blacks about a value of like 20. Clip whites to a value of 20 as well. Oh, 21. On the screen mat area, we can clip the blacks about a value of like 20. Clip whites to a value of 20 as well. Oh, 21. Alright, so we have a nice solid thing of me. So go back to the final result. Screen gain, we'll gain the screen, but balance it so that we don't really lose a lot of the original footage. Roll back. By -1. And increase the softness to, say, 3 pixels. So it's soft, but There you go. Actually, it's a little too soft. Just change it to 1. And there we go. Next thing we want to do is create a rectangular mask going over to here. Oh, that's not it. To click on the actual thing, mask it out using a subtract mode, and then do the other side as well. So there is our footage. If we put in a new solid, make it white, put it beneath green screen footage, there we have an example of a white background. Change it to a quarter. Alright, but we can also take this further as well. Turn off that white solid. So as you can see, right over here, the mask is clipping into me. So you can take the mask, the second one, keyframe the path, go forward to right about there, and take, crap, no, that's not what we wanted to do. Undo, alright, and move it right there. Again, we have clipping going on over there, so keyframe the path. As you can see, we have the dots showing up here, so take this mask, move it over to say here and here. There we go. Then keyframe it so that I'm not being clipped out. There we go. So there we go. So it's just a basic going through and making sure that it's a completely transparent background for your footage. Alright, now we're back. I fixed any problems that we've had in the I fixed any problems that there were with the green screen, and now we have a pretty good preview going on. Now, going to need to export the frames of our original footage, our footage right here. We're going to need to export this. So, close that out. What we're going to do is composition. Go to the composition, and we're going to need the green screen because that has our track points. So we can just turn that off, re-import our footage. There we go. We have a clean version of this. So we can go to composition, add to render queue. Under the lossless settings, click on that. Format you're going to want to do a JPEG sequence. So it'll export all the frames as a sequence of JPEGs. And then you can just put it into another folder. I named it JPEG sequence. As you can see, I've already exported all the frames for this existing thing, so you can just go ahead and do it yourself and pause the video once you're done. But I'm going to keep on going from here, so I'm just going to cancel that. And let's go ahead and save our project right now. I'm going to name it green screen work in progress. Save it. Alright, now we're done with After Effects for now. So the next piece of software we're going to have to go to is Match Mover. So I will be using Autodesk Match Mover 2012 64-bit edition. So just using both of my cores. Yeah. Alright, so Match Mover's opened up. What we're going to have to do first is go to File, Load the Sequence, go to where you saved it. I saved it to my desktop in a separate folder. So we open up, you click on the first frame in the whole entire sequence, first frame, and then it reads it to the very end. As you can see, 629. There it is, 629. So that's fine how it is. Now the interlace, you're going to want to do lower field first, depending on what your camera is. The camera that I was using, the interlace went from the lower field to the top. And for the camera settings, depends on what your movement is. This is a free movement on my sequence because that's just how it was. You could also do nodal pans. Could be fixed, so you could do a motion track of an object moving around in front of the camera and the camera's staying in one position. You could be doing a dolly on the X, Y, or Z, or a pan on the X, Y, Y, Z, or X, Z. But for this tutorial, we're going to be doing free motion, and the camera that I was recording at was going at 29.97 frames per second. So click on OK, and there is our thing. So oh, come on. Okay. Okay. There we go. So, first thing you're going to want to do is, if you're using a green screen and you've already put track points on your footage, like I did on mine, you'll want to use points that are going to, well, you could use all the points. There's just going to be distinct positions where you'll have to track backwards or forwards. But I'm going to be using this point right here, this point right here, that one, this one, and that one. So these 6 points stay on the screen the whole entire duration of the video. So what you're going to want to do is right click, select new track, and put it on a corner of, you're going to want to do the corner so you have a nice track along here and here. So the way that Match Mover works is it tracks a specific shape around the tracking view area, or I don't know. Kind of sounds stupid the way I'm explaining it, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I just know how to do it, so I'm just showing you how to do it. But yeah. So you've made your track point. There it is. There's your track point right there on the corner of the track point. Go into the track window and right-click, track forward, or if you want to use a keyboard shortcut, F3. And right here, you can see that it's tracking the motion, and as you can see, like I said before, it's tracking that shape of the corner of the track point. So it's analyzing each frame in the sequence and tracking the position of that point. Okay. Excuse me. Now if we go down through, everything's great. It tracked it perfectly. There's green all over. We can go through and what's the word? Scrub. If we scrub through the whole sequence, as you can see, the track point is staying right on it, and the green line shows the movement of that point. So we can go in again and add a new track on another corner, and it's just pretty much repeating the entire whole entire thing. You just go in, put a new track point, press F3, and it analyzes the point and tracks. So I'm going to stop the video so that it'll go by faster, and I'll be back with you when I have all the points tracked and ready to go. Alright, and we're back, and I have 24 tracks going on. I have 4 on every single track point. I mean, you can never go wrong with too many track points, but just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to go with these 24 track points that we have going on right here. So, now that you have all your track points and they're all analyzed, I mean, there's a few like yellow spots. Basically, like right here, basically all that means is it means that Match Mover is it tracked it, but it's not exactly sure that that's where it is. Most likely because of motion blur or some other kind of, mainly due to motion blur or some other kind of like distortion of the image. But all in all, Match Mover has it all right, and yeah, it's fine. It's not a big deal. But yeah, so we have our motion all tracked. So now we can do 3D tracking and solve for camera. Now this process may take a while because it's going to take all of these tracks and put them all together for a animation for a camera. Alright, and that is done. So now if we click on this button that says 3D, it changes to 3D mode. Whoa. So we can go in and come on. move around. I can just move down. Alright. As you can see, there's the camera and it's moving around according to the camera track. So, yeah. Looks pretty good if you ask me. So, there's that. Now we can take this camera track and then we can go to File, Export, and since we're going to be using Maya, we'll be export. Alright. So now we're done with Match Mover. We don't need it anymore. Close that up. And let's go into Maya. We'll be right back. Alright, so now we are in Maya. And I'm just going to load up the scene that I already had made. This is a big one. Alright, so this is an existing scene that I already have made. Alright, so now we are in Maya. And I'm just going to load up the scene that I already had made. This is a big one. Alright, so this is an existing scene that I already have made. It's pretty big, considering that there are 1,065,720 triangles within this scene. But this is just to show that you're going to need some sort of model environment of sorts, and this is one such example. So, without further ado, I'm not going to need this exact file either, so you can just open up a scene, go to where we saved the scene itself. So that would be this folder, project files, motion track. Open up. You don't need to save that. Okay, there's our motion track, and there is a locator for each track point that we created in the scene. So if we go to the panel's perspective, RZ camera, as you can see, each locator is right at the point where we put the track points. So we go through the animation, and there you go. You have a perfect motion track. Alright, so go back to the perspective camera. So there's our entire scene. Now what we can do now is import that one scene that I opened up earlier. So if we go to scenes folder and bring in that mesh, give it a little time to load up. There it is. We have our loaded mesh. So now we can take each segment. Wait, no, not really. We need to select the groups actually. So don't need that, but I can keep this. So here we have selected the actual piece itself. We can bring the scale up to, like, let's say 10 on the X, Y, and Z axis, and then press W on the keyboard to move it down. So position it accordingly. Just gonna look at it. Say something like that. Therefore, there's still room for my legs to go down. Walk around in. Select the image plane. Go to the panels, perspective, RZ camera, bring down the alpha to say that much. That's interesting. Okay, I see the problem. We need to bring the scene down this way so that the camera is protruding outside of the scene. Here we have the camera right here, and if we look in through the camera now, okay, what the heck? That's not making sense. It's playing the animation. So this is not making much sense to me right now. I don't see how this is not working since I managed to make it work once before. Yeah. Alpha gain 0. Maybe if we change the rendering quality. That's weird. It's not showing anything. Well, this is nice. Huh. Okay, what if we try rendering it? So go to rendering, render current frame. Yeah, like I thought, it would just render the actual frame of the animation, or actually frame of the sequence. Okay. That's not what we're looking for. do only looking through the camera, and do panel perspective RZ camera. Still nothing. Alright. Well, there's the current frame that we wanted to render. Alright. Now if we go to camera, everything looks good. Change the gain to 0, and aha. Okay. It's the focal length of the camera. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. Just gotta... Okay. Undo all of that. That was not supposed to happen. Okay. Camera shape. Near clip. 0... Or, no, make it 10. And then far clip. 1000. There we go. Now the problem is fixed. Oh my gosh. 10,000. Alright. Problem solved. Alright. Now the animation of the camera movement is accurate now. Alright, so now you can go back into the perspective now that the camera problem is fixed. I'm guessing that probably took me, I don't know, 10 minutes to figure out. And that's okay. Alright, Z negative 500 maybe? No, that's too far away, so negative 400. Move it in a little closer, 350. Whoa. Alright, there we go, 350. Looks like a good number. Alright, so if we bring in, go to the outliner, select the camera, go to the image plane, bring up the alpha by a little bit so that we still see a transparency of the there you have it. And it looks like you have your live action character actually walking around. So now I can bring the alpha gain back to 0. And oh, I forgot one more thing. Go back to the perspective. We're going to need lights. I almost forgot. Alright, so you just put in an ambient light over yonder, turn on lighting, in the center, and then we can put in spotlights, rotate it 90 degrees, -90, so that the bottom is facing, there we go. Turn on snapping to the grid, bring it up, and over, increase the grid size to subdivisions 1, apply. Still too small. Grid lines every 4 units, apply. There we go. Now it's nice and rough. And we can copy that and move it to where we want to put it. Grid lines every 2 units. Duplicate. I'm just pressing Control D so that it just makes an instance right at that position. Control D, duplicate. Alright, now I can select each of these lights then, duplicate, and move down to the second set of lights. Press F to focus on it. Alright. There we go. Panels, perspective, RZ camera. And now we can go to the attributes of our render settings. We can change it to mental ray so that we have accurate yeah, you know what I mean. An accurate rendering of actual lighting and stuff. Since now we have our lights all positioned to where we want them. So we can do ray tracing for the actual lighting. Ambient occlusion sounds great. It's really good for those corners. Makes them nice and dark. We don't need motion blur. We can put motion blur on in After Effects. And see, quality, adaptive sampling looks good. I don't want to take too long to do the actual rendering. Oh, one last thing. Image format. You want to make it a JPEG. And oh wait. Yeah, JPEG. JPEG format. And instead of making it a single frame, we will do name underscore number. We'll do the start frame of frame 1, and then the end frame will be 630. Alright, so we will be exporting all 630 frames. So, renderer, RZ camera, and render the current frame just to see how it looks. and this may take a while since mental ray takes forever. Alright, these lights up here, so see, this is not the effect that we are looking for. We have really hard lighting going on and everything's just too bright. This is not the result we're looking for. We want soft lighting as well as shadows also being soft from the lamps above. So we will need to edit the alright. Go to the perspective camera and move the ambient lighting back away from the back of it. We'll have the ambient lighting behind it, and then as well as we also missed these lights up here, so it's alright because we didn't miss anything. We can just delete these for now. Zoom back out. Oop, there we go. Okay. Select these ones. I don't like these. Delete. Alright. Now, this light right here, we can increase the drop-off. No, not the drop-off. The penumbra angle. Or no. Undo. Shadows. Shadow color looks good. Light effects. That looks good as well. Mental ray. Spotlight attributes. The cone angle is good. You can increase the drop off to like 10, maybe 50. No, 20. Alright, so that it's nice and soft. Just move it over there. Render. Actually go to the panel camera and render the current frame. See how that looks. Okay, that's smoother, but that's still not what we're looking for. So that's the thing with Maya. It's a huge trial and error until you get the result that you're looking for, and it's very time consuming. Render it again. Very dark. Not quite what we're looking for. Go back to the perspective view. Zoom in. If I can just find the light object, go back to textured. Oh, there it is. Found it. Okay. Move the light object back into place. Alright. Okay. Panel, perspective, RZ camera, and render current frame. I think that's what the problem was. It was right behind the object. Therefore, the shadow and light itself wasn't really looking how we wanted it to. Now, I really love the whole effect that we're getting from the light over there, but it's not so great. We could increase the penumbra angle to like 20, maybe 10. Render it again, see how that looks. Oh, there we go. Now that is beautiful. We have a nice soft chain. We have a soft gradient between the most intense part of the light all the way down to almost nothing. So that is exactly the effect that we're looking for, where it's sort of realistic but also, you know, it looks nice. So duplicate that, move it to position, duplicate and move, oops, undo, duplicate and move, duplicate and move, right, go to flat shaded or shaded, whatever, lots of lights, but we don't really need that many lights. You can just limit how far you want to go with this. So got the light, deleted it. Alright. There we go, there's the lights. Alright, let's select the 5 of them. Okay, we have all of them duplicated. And moving them down. Right there. Ish. Oh, that looks good. Alright, move that down this way. And, why not have another one all the way down. 1, 2, 3, down here. So now we have 4 lights lit. 4 rows of lights lit. Alright, so panel RZ camera, render the current frame. See how that looks? Now that looks great. All we need now is just a very dim ambient light to increase the brightness of the whole area. And then we can render out the frames, bring them into After Effects, and just make everything work. Oh, that's great. Alright. Whew, almost done, guys. Almost done. So, point light, no, ambient light. ambient light, turn the intensity down to like 0.125. Go into RZ camera, render the current frame. Oh, we're gonna have to go much darker than that. Yeah, because the effect that we're trying to go with the original video that I showed at the very beginning of this whole entire segment is that the background just turned to black. So it's just entirely black by the time you get to the very end, the entire shot. Wait for that to finish. Okay. Well, that's great and all, but not what I'm looking for. Alright, so ambient light, select it, turn it down to 0.0078125. 0.01565. Oh, jeez. Okay. Sorry about that. 0.031625. Okay. RZ camera and render. There we go. That's pretty good. I'm liking that so far, because it's nice and dim, but yeah, we could go darker. Yeah, 0.0078125 is probably what we're looking for. It's almost black, but it's not quite black. Yeah. Alright. Panels, perspective. 0.0078125. Cool. Panel, camera, render. There we go. That's a beauty. Alright. Well, now that we already have the render settings all made up, you can go up to render and batch render. Now, I've already got all of the frames rendered. So, to shorten out this tutorial and save me some time and not render out all these frames again, let's head on over to Premiere, where we're going to take all the frames that were exported and put them into a video file that we can embed behind our keyed out live action footage. Alright, so we're in Adobe Premiere, so we can do a new project. We can just name it AVI to MPEG or something like that. Save it to where we are doing our instructable. Once we get there. Okay. Bring it down to the how-to video and project files. Select folder. Okay. And let's go with AVCHD 1080p, AVCHD 1080p 30, since I have a frame rate of 30 frames per second. And we'll name this sequence render. Okay. Alrighty. Now that we have our project all set up, we can go in and find our actual folder where our frames are located. So here's my render sequence. This sequence actually took me 22.5 hours to render out, because that was actually using anti-aliasing and other things, other fancy things. So it took quite a bit longer. So you can just take the folder, drag it right in. It'll make a new folder right within Adobe Premiere. And just take all of those JPEGs and bring them into the timeline once it's done importing the files. Alright, now you can go and change the label to name, and it'll bring it from 1 all the way to 630. Highlight the first one, scroll down, and then shift and then left click on the last one to select all 630, drag them in to video 1, and you have an extremely long sequence. Now we can increase the length of that, or actually decrease the length of that by doing speed duration of 0.001. Ripple edit, shift trailing clips. And this is going, there we go. A lot better than a 5-minute video. This is not quite the length of time that we want, because now each frame is 2 seconds long instead of the needed it's 2 frames long instead of the 1 frame long that we wanted. But yeah, it's just simple. You just highlight small portions at a time, right click, speed duration, and change it to 1 frame, and just ripple edit. Just keep on going down, and yeah. Alright. Speed duration, 1 frame. Okay, now that all the frames are shortened out, we have a nice little sequence going on. So now we can just go to File, Export, media. And we don't need audio. Render it as a MPEG HD TV 1080p 29.97. Take out the audio. Whatever. We'll keep it. Render.mpeg. Instead, change it to the instructable. So render.mpeg. Export. Alright, well, that's enough of Premiere for now. We don't have to close out Premiere. We're going to be right back inside of it in, I don't know, in a little bit. So we can just minimize that and open up After Effects. Alright, so now we are back in After Effects. You can bring up the green screen work in progress project. Alright, now we're back to where we started. We don't need this footage anymore. We can just take that out. Now we have our matte. We don't need the background either. Now bring up the how-to video. Here's the render. Just copy that into the project window. Importing the selected item. Alright. Bring that down. Alright. That's looking good. Okay. So the overall lighting looks pretty good. We could probably do a color correction, curves, maybe decrease the highlights to say there-ish. Never mind. Bring the highlights up. There. Reset. Highlights. Never mind. Take that one. Midway. There we go. That's better. And then we can pre-compose these two together so that we can then do an effect, color correction, curves again. This time we can boost the greens to give it like a matrix-like feel, as well as the reds to give it like yellowy. It's yellowy, but then it's also greeny, so it's like orange green-ish. And there you go. Then we can do another one. We can do brightness contrast. So color correction, brightness and contrast. Bring up the contrast to say 2 and 4. There we go. Now 3. And then bring down the brightness to Right there. Maybe lessen the reds. Or, no, take down the blues. Definitely. But also maybe take down the reds a little bit. As well as the greens. Reset. There we go. Now it's like subtle. It's a subtle change. There we go. Alright. So that looks pretty good. Already liking it. We can just take the composition, add to render queue, lossless composition.avi. That looks pretty good. How to sequence, composition, save it, and render. Oh, stop. I forgot to do something. We can then do motion blur on it. Alright, now it's good. And now we wait for it to finish rendering. So I'll be right back with you guys with converting it back to an MPEG and a much smaller file size. Alright, so we're done in After Effects. We can save the project in case we need to go back and change the color correction or what have you. But all in all, we're done. So we can close out of that and go right back into Premiere. So let's go back into Premiere. We don't need any of these frames. We can delete all that. Yes, I would like to continue. And alright, eons have been waited. How to, and composition. So copy that in there. 3.64 gigs. Wow, just for 21 seconds. I don't like that. Alright, so there is our full sequence. Now we can export it as an MPEG. And output name green screen final. Alright, so export. This one shouldn't take as long as After Effects did. Since all the frames are already rendered, all we're doing is just converting it from a lossless file format to a more compressed file format with a better codec. Better usage of a codec. Alright, so that's done. We don't need to save that. And go to our thing. And oh no, never mind, not that one. This is the one we want. can get rid of the composition one because that one is just way too big for the amount of time that it uses. So, play. And there you have it, guys. A beautifully motion-tracked sequence. Alright, well, my name is Vadim Maltsev. Thank you for watching my tutorial on how to put in a computer-generated background into live action footage.